All right, welcome. I've already said, did I say welcome to those of you in the room? I'm sorry if I didn't, up here being silly. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. I'm Theresa and guess I'm the founding minister of this community, which when I stand here today in this room that's rather sparse, not knowing who is out there tuning in with us, it's quite different than when we started 3 years ago. It is quite different. And I still have a little uneasiness with doing this hybrid thing of being in the room, having people here, wanting to connect with the people here, connecting with the people at home. And so I appreciate you guys all joining in and helping me learn this thing, hybrid Sunday service thing that we have going on here. So I appreciate you and what I know about you, each one of you here in this room and everyone at home, whether you tune in now or later, is that you're a divine expression of the One. Yes, you're a bright light. You're the heart of the living Spirit, expressing itself divinely, freely, fully. And if you're not, we're going to help you do it, right? That's what we're all after, is that being able to recognize that indeed I am an incarnation of love itself. I have a spark within me. You have a spark. You have it, each one of us. And it's unique. It's divine. It's like our thumbprint, right? And man, when we all show up in that glory, we've really got something going on. And we can do it, too, easier, I think, by my experience, when we recognize that we live and move and have our being in a loving and supportive universe. That there isn't anything outside of us that's against us. We got some ideas that are against that, right? And that's what we want to wake up to. And so we help each other throughout the week and every Sunday morning have a lived experience, to see it deeper, to feel it in a way that we don't ever forget it. That's what we're really looking to do, in a way that we don't ever live it, or we don't ever forget it. So this whole year, we are living everyday wonder. That's our theme, living everyday wonder. And I'm already really juiced about it. What are we, second week in February? But it's an adventure. It's a journey. And what I want to make sure that I articulate here is that it's not linear. It might sounds sometimes that I'm saying that it's linear, that there's a progression, and it's not necessarily like that. I'm not suggesting that this journey that we're going to do over the next 10 more months, it's the whole year, this journey, this adventure of living everyday wonder. But, well, it's not like when I go to visit my grandkids. It's not like that. I can take a direct flight from Sarasota Airport, SRQ, to Indianapolis, direct, boom, linear. There I go. I start, I finish. It's a trip. I can do the same thing. I can take a direct flight from Tampa to Salt Lake City and see my daughter. This isn't that kind of trip. M. Scott Peck, who I just think did brilliant work, in his Road Left Travel, he says that they're concentric circles coming out from our center, from the core of who we are, and that there's nothing really simple about it, and it's not straightforward either, So, and we have an image, often we use the image of an upward spiral, right? That we're upward spiraling. Well, if we're conscious of what we're doing, it can look like that. If we're not conscious, it kind of looks like the dog, chasing its tail, right? And so it's kind of up to us. Now, the mystics will tell us that there's an evolutionary pull, that there still is that which is inherent in all life that's pulling us forward, pulling us on that upward spiral, taking us on that concentric circle trip, however you want to see that journey, that there's an evolutionary pull. But I know from experience that I don't need to leave it to chance, that I can be a little proactive. I can align myself. I can get in sync with spirit or the universe or source or God or whatever you choose to call that creative intelligence that has sparked all of life. So that's my intention with Living Everyday Wonder, is that it's a proactive adventure for all of us. And this month specifically, we're looking at the inner life. Wonder around the inner life, what's going on in there. And it's important for us to understand that because it's cause and effect. It's cause and effect. We're going to talk about that today. I have this wonderful visual that I want to give you, is that we live life from the inside out. If you can just imagine that we're living life, you are living life from the inside out. I trust that becomes a fascinating idea for you, that you're living life from the inside out. So before we get started this morning, let us establish ourselves in that richness that's within each one of us, in that vastness, that richness, that eternal and infinite source of all life, the substance of all life. And I'm going to choose to call it God here this morning. And I'm going to choose to align it with love. And what I know about it is moving in as and through me now, in as and through all life, that it is everywhere present, immanent in life itself, and yet transcendent, far beyond anything that I've ever even touched or that I've even imagined yet. It's all that and so much more. And so I allow myself to sink into that presence right here and right now, and to feel it alive within my body, knowing that it is in every cell. And I choose to recognize it from within this morning. And again, I know it is love. And so I want to usher into that space, into that awareness, all the people in our community that might be struggling right now, struggling with health issues, pain of a physical type or an emotional type, loneliness, dissatisfaction, whatever it may be. And so I invite you, if that aligns with how you feel, to open in heart and mind, to be receptive to all that transpires here over the next hour, the music, the readings, the words, the message, the feelings, what stirs within you. For I know that is divine. I'm so grateful to have this awareness. I'm so grateful for the willingness to experience life at a deeper level, for a greater outer expression of all that it is, for a greater expression of love, for a greater awareness of how my inner life affects my outer life. This I know for myself and for each one of us here in this room and for everyone around the globe. We are indeed powerful, powerful beings of light. And so it is. And with that, I am super excited to introduce our musicians. Now, you know them. You've seen them with us before individually, but it's the first time we've had them here together, which is so crazy because they live together. But they chose to come here this morning, maybe in the same car. I don't know. Did so. You did? Mm-hmm. Isn't that fabulous? So I'm really excited. Frost and Ross is how you bill yourselves when you're together, right? So we have Matthew Frost and Emily Ross here this morning, our local talent and loves. So enjoy.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna start off with just a good old love song that I wrote in a fretful fever. I had 104 fever one day, and I wrote like the most like loving, wonderful. I was just like, and my brain melted, and I was like, and I wrote this really awesome like upbeat song, which is rare for me. So this is what we're gonna do, and it's just we love you all here at the center. And I was just having kind of like a gruff morning today, and just walking through here just made me feel so peaceful. And we took a little walk through the gardens, and if you haven't, it's like a rainy day out here. Oh, it's beautiful, but it just made me feel so much better, and we appreciate you all. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you.
All right, it's a little duet for you all here, and just grab your tea and your coffee, because that's what this is about. All right.
music.
Thank you
And
so
you
much.
sound so wonderful together.
Thank you.
So talented, they create their own music. Wow.
You know it's good that we're already singing along to the words.
All right.
Like we're in a concert and we know you.
I have always said that. You're absolutely right.
Thank you
Good
so much.
morning, everybody. Everybody near, right here in this beautiful garden club. Everybody far away, even as far as across the globe. Yeah. I'm so excited to be part of this community as a spiritual practitioner. My name is Ethelyn Enos, and my community here knows me as Effie. When I heard that this month we were celebrating and exploring the inner life, I was drawn immediately to a story that I want to share with you today. It's a Taoist story, one of my favorites now, and it's all about the inner life. And this is how it goes. There was a Chinese village, and it was experiencing a horrendous drought. Everyone was suffering. The monks in the village had made every attempt to come up with rituals to solve the problem, with no avail. No rain. So they finally thought that they would go ahead and summon a Taoist priest who lived in the village nearby. And his name was the Rainmaker. And the Rainmaker came to their village. And when he arrived, he met with the monks. And he said, I have a request. Can you please let me stay in a small, quiet house nearby? And can I please have a garden near me so I can tend to it? And the monks, of course, granted his request. 4 days went by, and the rain began to fall. And the people were so excited. And the monks ran to where the Rainmaker was, and they said, thank you, with such gratitude, we thank you for all you have done. And the Rainmaker, in his quiet, gentle way, said, I have done nothing. And the monks smiled and said, oh no. We have not had rain, and after 4 days we have rain. You must have done something. And again, peacefully, gently, the Rainmaker responded, I have done nothing. He paused for just a moment, and then he looked at his monks in the eyes. And he said, you see, before I came here, I was completely aligned. I was completely in order within my own being. And when I came here to the village, I was infected by disorder, infected by worry. So when I requested the small, quiet house with a garden to tend to, I was able to tend to my own inner garden. And he said, then the rain was able to fall. You see, I didn't make the rain happen. I only took responsibility for myself. And so this story is just a perfect reminder that spiritual practice of any kind leads us, guides us to that inner life. And you know, it's there that all power and all possibility begin to rain, begin to shower, begin to pour into our outer lives. So in conclusion, enjoy tending to your inner garden. Namaste.
That was beautiful. All right, we gotta do this song now because it goes so perfectly with that story. For myself, I was just could not figure out any peace, like about, I don't know, last summer probably, and just having migraines all the time and not doing good at all. And I finally, and I would, and I had to do something to get myself out of my surroundings. So I went to just really weird place in Tennessee called Sparta, and it's in the middle of nowhere. And she helped me book like a little Airbnb. And in the middle of nowhere, it was actually terrifying. It was just like, where am I? But it happened to be around all these waterfalls, and beautiful people were there, and just like the most humble people I think I've ever met, and so much love. And when I got there, I was like so empty, but people just like came and found me and just took care of me. And some crazy stuff happened to me while I was there too. Really really scary thing. My travels, and they just like, the person who owned the place came the next day and just like, hey, hang out with me and my wife all day, and just took a really like care of me, and just random people there in little restaurants and stuff. So much love in this little nowhere place. And I wrote a song for the place, for a place I can go in my mind even. And it's called Tennessee, but I wrote it for the people of this little place in Tennessee, because I was like overwhelmed by just the whole experience. Came back whole after that. Tennessee has a lot of nature, a lot of rhythms, a lot of sounds. I thought Florida was loud, but out in those fields out there in the hills, there's a certain rhythm, and a lot of the blues comes out of there, and a lot of like really great music. And I feel like it was tapping into me somehow. And this is kind of my own, the Tennessee chord I call it, but it's in the key of F. Sounds like the bugs and the birds and all that.
kind of take my breath away. You do take my breath away.
Thank you so much.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you. Whew. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you for letting me, finally being able to play that at the right place.
Yeah.
Because it's just a weird song that I'm like, I want to play this somewhere where it means something. So thank
Good.
you.
Well, we get the backstory. We
Yeah.
get that feeling of showing up. Oh man, when you just don't feel quite right, but being met with love and support, and that's an awesome place to be. So thank you. And I love that T for Two. I'm so glad you did that. I love that song. That's so sweet. And Ethy, my goodness, that was fabulous.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
between they've really said what I want to say, but you know me, I still have to say I still have a little something I want to throw in here. So to reiterate, you know what? Life is created from the inside out. And that is our focus this month, is the wonder of that inner life. And when you start taking classes at a center, you do the prereq classes, the first year of prac training. So you're 2 years in, then you start your practitioner training, right? And that is titled, what, Ethy? That's titled, How Did Life Get to Be This Way? How did life get to be this way? And you know what? Some people stop in their tracks and they're like, I don't really want to know anymore. And then other people are, you know, like, yeah, there's a little fear, you know, a little fear and trepidation. I don't really want to look at all that icky stuff. And then others embrace it. And it is, I tell people, you have to at least go through Prac 1, Term 1. You got to go through that part, even if you don't go any further, because it is such a gift to give yourself. Last week I used these two quotes, and I want to use them again because I just love them so much. Socrates, an unexamined life is not worth living. Can I have an amen? Amen. I mean, that is just so true. It is so true to form in my life. Because when we examine, we find truth, we find spirit, we find a freedom that we didn't even know existed before, right? Yes. We were just talking about that. And then the other one is a Chinese proverb. When the eye is not blocked, the result is vision. When the mind is not blocked, the result is wisdom. And when spirit is not blocked, the result is love. How beautiful is that? Yes. So we want to unblock because, doggone it, the world needs more love. And I don't think any of us would argue with that premise. So today's call then is to observe the self, to not be on autopilot, to not be sleepwalking through our lives, but to awaken to those infinite possibilities that lie right here within us. And then oftentimes to achieve that, then we might need to replace some of those automatic thoughts, some of those foundational ideas that we have that are wrong. They're just simply erroneous. They are simply not true. And we want to replace those with well-chosen thoughts, conscious thoughts, life-affirming thoughts, dream-enhancing thoughts, right? Yeah. Those that support who we want to be in the world, how we want to show up in the world, rather that go from zero to fly off the handle, which is what my ex-husband used to describe about me. You know, go from zero to fly off the handle. Yeah, it's been known to happen. But with a deep knowing and with a basic foundational truth that I am spirit incarnate, right? When we get to that place, those things those fly off the handle, and those reactions don't happen as often. When we come to recognize that we're one with the source and substance of all life, that we can live freely and fully from this place of power, which is authentic power. When we stand in who we truly are, showing up, you know, in that authenticity, it's just great power. And that is living a life created from the inside out. And just as the cosmic invisible brought each one of us here, we too, in our little lives, we bring things into our lives. Same process, right? Same process. And this is Science Mind 101, cause and effect. Cause and effect, science mind. So the cause is that which produces an effect. The effect is the product of the cause. So every manifestation, everything in life is an effect, and every effect is subject to its cause. Yeah? So that's how that works. So everything we perceive with our physical senses is in fact an effect. The principles, the principle, the number one principle, the source, is invisible, right? But the effects are everywhere. They're everywhere. The principle we call first cause, and the result is visible form. So this is like a new thought review for many of you. You know, we get what we attract. We get what we give. We attract what we are. Those kinds of ideas, you know. But once we wake up, then we really are at a point of choice, because now we can make a conscious, because this is happening whether we're aware of it or not, right? You know, so then we can be conscious of it. Because the divine is always doing the divine thing. But we don't always do the divine thing with the powers that we have available to us. So a couple weeks ago, I talked about this as being a science. It's called science of mind, deliberately, intentionally. Ernest Holmes called it that, because he said, you know, I give you a hypothesis, or you can give yourself a hypothesis, and you can seek then to prove it for yourself. And so change your thinking, change your life is a hypothesis that we've all heard. You know, we've heard, we've used it ourselves many, many times. But it's not always clear, I don't think, to us what we're thinking. Because I don't know, unless it's just me, there's a real mess of stuff in there sometimes, right? It can be pretty messy. And so last week we had Zen Seraphin, also known as Zoe. Zoe and Pedro were here last week. And so she did a sound bath for us. And that's just one way that we can slow down and sink in and recognize what's going on. We can feel it when we give ourselves that space, that pause, the pause to recognize the cause, what's going on. Does that make sense? So we want to find ways that we can do that, take a mindful pause, which is simply an invitation for us to become aware of what's going on in us, what we're feeling, what we're thinking. So we pause to find the cause. That conscious thought or our subconscious beliefs are what cause our feelings and our emotions. Sometimes we think it's the other way around, but it's not. It's the foundational beliefs. That's where our emotions come from. And so it's brilliant for us to spend time uncovering and discovering those underlying beliefs that are triggering our emotions. So my first teacher in this teaching was Reverend David Owen Ritz, and he used to say regularly, I'm going to look for your nod, a thought plus a feeling, a thought plus an emotion equals the manifestation. And I always said, instead of doing this, I was going to start doing this. This is my new prayer, right? A thought plus a feeling, a thought plus an emotion gives me my life from here to here to here, right? So Emerson said, what lies behind us and what lies before us are only tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And Eric Butterworth said, things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only thing that matters are the things that happen within you. Thank you, Gina, for that reminder yesterday. So Zoe, to paraphrase her when she was doing this sound healing for us and talking about meditation, was telling us that that helps us build resilience, right? It helps us train ourselves to be flexible and adaptable, to move with life in a way that we're awake and aware and we become co-creators with life. And it might require us to clean some things up, you know? That's just a few little things. So I've been talking about Brene Brown's book. This is such a fabulous book, Atlas of the Heart, that Bobby got me for Christmas. And she's talking in the beginning about language, well, throughout the whole book, language and how powerful it is and how important it is that we can articulate what it is that we're experiencing or feeling, and even in the moment, that we can say, okay, this is what I'm feeling. And I shared this last week, but it bears repeating. She did a big study over like a 7-year period of time with like 5,000 people, asked them to pay attention when they were having a feeling, an emotion, could they name it? The average number of emotions named were 3. Holy cow, 3 emotions. Happy, sad, angry. What a limiting, pitiful way to go through life. Just quite frankly, pitiful way to go through life, right? So there's lots of ways for us to talk about love. Lots of ways for us to talk. Why would we want to limit it? There's 173 synonyms I found in the thesaurus. You want to hear a few? Affection, appreciation, devotion, emotion, fondness, friendship, infatuation, lust, passion, respect, tenderness, care, concern, yearning. They're different, aren't they? They deserve our recognition, don't you think? Merriam-Webster had 255 words related to the word love. Now, I can dig someone, I can fancy someone, or I could want to get my groove on with someone, right? Right? So is it a feeling? Is it an emotion? Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Does it have to have an object attached to it? That's the thing I really want us to think about. Do you have to have an object to love? Meaning a person, or a pet, or a project? No, we don't. Is it a state of being? Is it an inherent truth? Is it a cosmic reality? Is it the cosmic fabric of life itself? Yeah, I think we're getting a little closer there. In her research, Brene Brown says that love is an emotion that we are capable of feeling in many different contexts, not something that we give or get, but something we nurture and grow. Yeah, like that garden. We nurture and grow it. And that's echoed by so many of our teachers, spiritual and other. My favorite definition is by M. Scott Peck. I used him earlier. He says it's really love is too large, it's too deep of a concept for us to really confine it to a framework of a definition, but here's his best, and I love it. He said, love is the will to extend one's self for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that what love is? I really think that's what love is. Eric Butterworth, in his book, Life is for Loving, he calls that spiritual helpmates if we're in a relationship of any kind, friends. Spiritual helpmate. I love it. You know, love is not primarily a relationship with another person or a specific person. It's an energy. It's an energetic thing that we bring from within ourselves out into life. And it's a creative impulse of life itself. Ernest Holmes said it this way, which brings it a little closer to what I'm talking about. Love is the self-givingness of spirit through the desire of life to express itself in terms of its creation. Oh, it's that impulse. It's what brings life to life, right? He said, love is free of condemnation. It's free from fear. It's the central flame of the universe. It's the central flame of the universe, and it's within each one of us. So let's pause just for a moment, I invite you to pause. And with all that I just said about what is love, feel into that. What is it for you? Just contemplate what love is. If you're at home, type it in the chat. Those of us here, we'll talk about it afterwards. Because it's not always pleasant when we ask that question and we feel into it. It's not always pleasant. Sometimes it's painful. But it's helpful to know when you're feeling what and what is operating from behind your words and what you're bringing out into the world, right? It bears our attention. So we uncover those underlying beliefs. So I invite you to investigate through this week, what is love? Listen for it. What is love not? A lot of people have to go through the back door. Why I know what love isn't? You know, it's not shame, it's not blame, it's not disrespect, it's not betrayal. It isn't abuse, as Bell Hooks says. And so can I perceive the presence of love? Can I perceive it as an all-encompassing inward presence? I got to do that before I can have it as an outward experience. It's cause and effect. It's how our lives are shaped. Beliefs, thoughts, feelings. And when we begin to see life from that way, what we look at on the outside only changes when it changes on the inside. That's the way it happens. That's the way it happens, inside out. So we've got a network of relationships. We have parents, we have children, we have friends, we have coworkers, romantic relationships. These are all opportunities to practice. That's the good news. That's the good news. They're opportunities to practice, right? Because the ultimate goal is our own spiritual evolution and what? Helping other people grow in their spiritual evolution, and all that comes from a recognition of oneness. A recognition of spirit being inherent, everywhere present. And then we have less dramas in our lives, plain and simple. Because when we stray from that alignment of knowing that truth, that's when the fear and the blame and the guilt and all that other stuff creeps in. And we have an inability to use our authentic power then. And then stories are created and all that. So here's the powerful implication of all that, cause and effect, that if we are indeed co-creating our experience, we want to consciously do that. So we want to pause. We want to pause so we can change the cause of the things in our lives that we don't like. That's it. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. So this isn't just applied to love. This is applied to every area in our life, our finances, everything. But because tomorrow's Valentine's Day and my 24th anniversary to my beloved, I wanted to talk about love, you know? So I want us to become deeply aware of our beliefs about love. And when we do it, we can remember to lighten up. Remember that this is an adventure. Remember that it's an experiment, right? And that we can explore with a sense of curiosity about it. You know, like, what if? What if changing my thinking about love made a difference? What if changing my thinking about my finances made a difference? That kind of thing. What if thinking about my health made a difference? Well, all of the above. For me, I've seen that happen in my own life, so borrow my faith when I tell you it's possible. There's infinite possibilities. So I paused in meditation. I continue to pause in meditation. I've paused on the therapist couch, the psychiatrist couch. I pause every time you send in a prayer request, and our practitioners pause every time you send in a prayer request. And I believe, like Bell Hooks, who just passed away last month, fabulous researcher, sociologist, teacher, professor, spoke that the injustices and the systemic oppression that we experience in the world is an effect of our lovelessness, right? Our inability to see spirit within all life and the people around us, right? And it calls for what she says is an ethic of love. And I would agree with that. And I'm not talking, again, just romantic love, but having a connection within ourselves to the source of that love and confidence for us to be able to stand upon it. Yeah. So I know I've gone a little long, but I'm going to ask you to indulge me for one more moment, because I want to close with us really having a practice that we can take home. So just if you would, join me in closing your eyes and settling in. We want to create a habit of being still and listening. Meditation has two parts to it. There's an open awareness, an allowing, a noting, a labeling even, an open awareness, allowing thoughts to come through, allowing feelings to rise up. And then there's a focused attention that when we start to travel away with the thoughts, we come back. We stay present. We go back to our breath. So bring yourself to the present moment. Just feel in one more time. Love. Living love from the inside out. What does it bring up for you? Without going to the story, feel in. And know that we can journal, we can get prayer support. But if it feels right now, within yourself, dedicate yourself to knowing this part of who you are, this love part. Consciously commit to live from the inside out. I affirm for each one of us that we are indeed a unique individualization of the whole, made of love, made to love, made for love. I know for each that you are loved, lovable, loving, and loved, and so it is. What you guys got for us?
I'm going to sing a song. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to sing a song called On Your Own, and it's about, well, the first line is, finally you've come to take it on. So finally you have come to pause. Finally, because, well, my instinct, whenever I'm not feeling well and I'm afraid and I'm sad, my instinct is to go, 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 go. What do I need? I need other people. I need to get out. I need to do all these different things. I need to travel. I need to do, and it's like, finally you've come just to, whew, take it on and be alone. It's so hard to be alone because I guess you just get so comfortable not with other people and you just don't want to be alone, but this is called On Your Own. And I wrote this song after I had experienced a bunch of loss. And the last thing I wanted to do was to be alone. But finally, I came to be by myself, and I wrote this song.
Thank you. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I don't know about you all out there, but we've had tears this morning, we've had smiles, we've had everything in this room. I'm guessing the same thing at home. So many reminders for me, but the idea that love is the self-givingness of spirit, and we are all one on our own, expressing the self-givingness of ourselves, which is the self-givingness of spirit expressed through us. When we give forth, we create something, and that something creates the next thing. So some of you may think that I'm up here talking about making a gift to the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast for the purpose of supporting the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. I'm going to say you're wrong. What I'm talking about is changing your life, getting to that space of your self-givingness to be clear enough to move from the frenzy that Emily talked about to the stillness to say, I do have something I can give. Have many things I can give. And as you give forth, and we give forth in many forms, some of them look like money, which is just movement of energy. That paper thing that you have in your pocket or your purse or your wallet or whatever has no value in and of itself except for the value we give it and the energy we give it. So we call that forth to give forth, to create the effect in the universe, which is the cause of the next effect. So reach in there, be still, bless yourself, bless the giver within yourself. In this moment, we bless those givers everywhere as we give forth to make that movement that perhaps part of that effect will be building this beautiful ministry called the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast. So blessing the giver, blessing the gift, knowing that it is all good and all God all the time. And thank you. Bobby.
Thank you, Reverend Emil. Let's sing together. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on. I receive the gift of life and pass it on. I receive the gift of love and pass it on. I receive the gift of joy and pass it on. I receive all good and pass it on.
I just have a couple quick announcements. We have 15 people in the room here this morning. And we're inviting, we could take at least 30, I would think up to 30, and us still be able to figure out this technology thing, and it not be too overwhelming. I'm going to take the responsibility for that. Like I said earlier, we had 90 people in the room before COVID hit, so that would be a little overwhelming for me right now, still trying to get this technology right. So I thank you all for hanging in, those of you at home and those of you here. It's such a joy to be learning something new and to be back here in this room. It really is. It's very exciting. If you want to be here with us, it's easy to do. Just email Rev G. So it's revi@protonmail.com, protonmail.com, and let him know. And then I'm going to have him come back up here for a minute and just talk about, we've got slides that are scrolling at the beginning of the service and then at the end of the service too. So for those of you at home, you're seeing it, but those of you here aren't seeing it. So Emil, go ahead and talk about your book club.
Very good. Thank you. So we were going to start our book group this past Thursday, and we had some technology issues, Zoom links didn't get out, whatever. And then amongst the group of us, we decided to delay the start because we wanted to create a larger group. And Power of Eight is the first book, and the reason it's the first book is my intention, it's a book about intention, is to create a powerful intention group that works together, and that then over time, as we continue to do our intention work, we will read other books and talk about other spiritual practices and expand ourselves and all those things. So it's the same email address, revg@protonmail.com. That's me. I was given that name by my West Indian Hindu friends a couple years ago. And tell us that you want to participate in the group. And I look forward to seeing you. And we're going to start again on March 10th. So we gave it a month to build up. And so come join us. And we're looking forward to it. $10 a week. And we support our center. Thank you.
Thank you. And so Rev G is Reverend Emil Gavreau also, just so you have his full name. With that, again, thanks for those of you that are here with us. It's good to see you. And I'm going to let you close out with another song, if you will. All right. Thanks. Thanks. Love you all at home.
He's gonna do solo, I think.
You can join in.
Oh,
Join in.
My voice needs some help on those highs. Right. Okay, now this is definitely a song that I needed a platform, because this one is exactly about pause. During COVID, we all had to pause, and ours got so long, the quarantine, because of family things and health things and all that it became like a monk sort of like stay in our house, in our yard. And at one point I definitely had to take a look. Like, I always thought I was pretty good at pausing. No. It's like what she said, there's always a distraction, there's always something to take. But when you really sit there and you have to look at some stuff, I feel the need to play this song for somebody today, somebody out there. I lost a dear family member of mine that never felt okay to really pause, because everyone thought it was depression when she would just go in to her room and sit there and think about, process life. They thought, well, that's not right, that's negative, that's depression, don't do that. Well, that's what I've been told by so many people, but how else do you grow? That's like what Teresa's always saying, how can you grow without that pain and that pause, and to actually go inward? So this is what this song's about. I'm gonna try to play it the best I can.
Trees in this drought, I'm just
Thank